Hey everyone, Coach Toolshed here, and today I want to talk about, you guessed it, Fallout 76 once again. That's because I have just recently read the interview that Todd Howard did over in Europe. I believe it's translated from German, and sorry, I do not speak German. But so I'm going off a translation that I found online. So, I mean, take this with a grain of salt. These might not be exact word-for-word quotes from him, but this is what I got from the translation. So, I've seen some videos, I've seen some people already talking online, and they're once again just glazing over all of the issues that were brought up that people actually care about, and they're talking about like, oh, guys, there's fast travel. Did you hear? Day-night cycle confirmed. Oh, okay. Why don't we just get into the meat and potatoes of this interview, and let's see what Todd had to say. So first off, I was pleased to see that they were very happy with the fan reaction from E3 with the reveal of Fallout 76. So that's great. So that's good to know that apparently they don't really care that there's a lot of people who aren't really too happy about it. But I guess we're all just crybabies, right, guys? And Todd also said that they don't like the fans to be confused because then they come up with all these crazy ideas. And I found that pretty funny that Todd would say that they don't like confusion about their games when all they're doing is causing confusion with the double contradicting speech that we keep hearing between the gameplay and what Todd's saying and what Pete's saying. And so all they're really doing is causing confusion, but that, of course, is not what they want, just like they don't want griefing. And so he also goes on to say that he knows that there's a big group of Bethesda fans that want the single-player experience. He says that they know that, and they know that's what we want. And he comes right out and says that that's not really in this game. So all that talk about traditional Fallout, this is a traditional Fallout experience. Well, in this interview, Todd says, well, this game doesn't really have that. He just comes out and says that. So Todd's dropping the pretense, I guess. Once again, rough translation. I'm not sure exactly if this is word for word, but that's what it said in the interview. He then goes on to explain why they showed Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 at the end of the Fallout 76 presentation, and as we all pretty much knew already, it was basically to placate us dumb sheep who, you know, want single-player games from Bethesda. So he's letting us, dum-dums know that, yes, we're still making these single-player games. But in the interview, something that got snuck in here, it was interesting. The guy asked them if Fallout 76 is just going to be a jumping-off point where they're testing out the waters, basically, to see if multiplayer works. And Todd said, no, they're jumping in with both feet. They're going all in on Fallout 76. And the guy pressed him a little bit on it, so I will give him a little bit of credit. And interesting thing that Todd said, let me see what it said, in regards to Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, we want to keep them as single-player games. You want to keep them. Well, you're the one making it, so if you want to do that, you could do that, couldn't you, Todd? He says that they're focused on making them single-player. Okay, once again, you're the one making it, so you could make a single-player if you so choose. And then he sneaks this little thing in here. If they have a social aspect that we haven't designed yet, you know, we'll let you know. We'll let you know later. So he just sneaks that right in there. If they have a social aspect. So right there, leaving the door wide open for this multiplayer type experience to pretty much cause the problems that some of us think Bethesda could be dealing with going forward for us fans, is that we might be losing the single player games that we want. It says right there, if they have a social aspect. Again, rough translation from German. I'm sorry. But that seems to me like he's leaving the door wide open for it. Is that how it seems to you? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Todd then had another interesting quote where he says, usually we don't follow trends, meaning Bethesda Game Studios. You don't follow trends? Fallout 76 isn't you following a trend? Oh, because you started making it 3 years ago, right? Because games like this didn't exist 3 years ago, right? There was no games like this 3 years ago. No, I think there was, Todd. You're not the beacons of innovation that you think you are, and that you try to peddle to us at all times, okay? Like, enough with acting like you guys are the creators of everything that is and ever was in video games, okay? Enough with the shtick, Todd. You don't follow trends. That's exactly what this is. You're following a trend. You're going for the microtransaction, cosmetic skin cash grab, which we'll get to, Todd. And then the interviewer asked, so you have to keep the expectations of the players in check. We do. We have to, said Todd. We have to. We have to keep the expectations in check. Well, guess what, Todd? You're certainly keeping my expectations in check. In fact, I don't think you could have checked them harder into the boards. You couldn't have possibly done that. Because my expectations for this game are in the toilet. And reading this interview, once again, is not exactly dissuading me from my original feelings about the game. And then he starts, complaining about Sony. There's a couple questions about Sony and crossplay, and he whines about Sony for a little bit, which I discussed in my last video, and a couple of previous videos about Bethesda not playing nice with Sony. So that's old territory. We've been through that. Sony's not allowing crossplay. They're the worst. Right, Todd? Then the interviewer actually had a really good question, and I'm glad he asked this because I haven't seen anyone else ask this really in the way that the interviewer posed it. And he basically asked, Fallout 4 was pretty much stripped down when it came to RPG elements and certain gameplay elements that people expected out of a Fallout game. And Todd, the interviewer asked if Fallout 76 is going to follow the same path or even, make the problem worse. And Todd, weasels out, is like, well, I don't think the whole game's like that. And he falls on the Far Harbor. I mean, we had a lot of interesting choice in Far Harbor. It's like, Todd, that's the DLC. He's obviously asking you about the bulk of the game. I love how Bethesda likes to use Far Harbor as a shield for all of the issues with the role-playing elements of Fallout 4. I mean, it's ridiculous. Great. Far Harbor was actually pretty good and proves that you do have a concept of how to do it kind of right. So why didn't you make the whole game like that? People really liked Far Harbor. But, stop using it as a shield for the whole game, Todd. Okay? Like, give me a break. And he pretty much entirely jumped past the guy's question, which I thought was a really good question again, about, isn't Fallout 6 just another stripped-down version that was already a stripped-down version in Fallout 4, which was already a stripped-down version from previous Fallout games? And Todd, of course, just dances his way out of that one. And the interviewer, unfortunately, didn't really press him on it. But then we hopped right back into the old territory of, there's going to be holotapes, and there's going to be computer terminals and robots, and they're going to give you your quests. And the interviewer asks, are the Radiant quests returning? And Todd confirms that, yes, in fact, guys, in addition to the main story, we'll also have the joy of Radiant quests. Those quests that they just randomly generate and keep giving them to you over and over again. Those will be exciting, won't they? That's what we always wanted. More Radiant quests. Skyrim didn't have enough. Preston Garvey didn't give me enough in Fallout 4, I know that. Another settlement needs your help. General, another settlement needs your help. So, we have that to look forward to. Radiant quests, guys. And then we get back to the meat of the matter, the PvP, and Todd puts on his best dance moves once again, and he says, we don't want it to be griefy. We would hate for it if players quit playing our game because other players are ruining their experience. That would be awful. That would be too much for us to bear, said Todd Howard. And then he turns around and says, but we don't want to take away the drama. Which is, once again, they keep coming back to, we don't want to take away the drama. Todd keeps saying that. And then he says, here's a quote, let's say someone murders someone who didn't want to engage in combat. What was that? Let's say he murdered someone who didn't want to engage in combat. Once again, Todd and Pete on two different pages here. Pete saying we can opt in and out of combat, and Todd right here in this interview saying someone murdered someone who didn't want to engage in combat. Okay. But guys, there's a day-night cycle. Fast travel! Confirmed. This is the thing. This is once again what I've been saying in video after video. They keep telling us two different things with this game. And I don't know if, once again, this might not be an exact translation, but come on. Enough, guys. Get on the same page. They're still working out the systems. We can't tell you how, he says right in the interview, we can't tell you how it's going to be because they don't know. They legit don't know. It's July. They don't know how it's going to look. So forget about them hammering stuff out. And when the beta comes out and all the apologists come out and say, well, it's just a beta, you dumbasses. It's just a beta. Of course they're going to fix it. No, they don't even know now what the game's going to look like. It says right in the interview. Todd says they can't tell us because they don't know. So give me a break. And his anti-grief measure where, well, if you kill someone and they don't want it, well, you'll have a bounty put on your head. And he calls them, they'll become an epic enemy for everyone to hunt. You don't think people are dying? The griefers are dying to get the YouTube videos out with a big skull and crossbones over their head saying, Fallout 76, epic enemy rampage, as they just try to storm the map? I mean, come on. That's your anti-grief method? But no, all these videos, they don't want to talk about this stuff. They just want to talk about the fun stuff. Did you know you can drop items for your friends? Great. Oh, does that mean that other people can drop high-powered stuff for their troll friends too? And they can fast travel, right? You confirmed that, right? So that means they can get to me quicker, even if I don't know, Pete, spawn on the other side of the map. Oh, but fast travel's enabled. See, you guys haven't thought this through. And it's obvious. You haven't thought it through. But let me tell you what you guys are taking a good look at. And let's get down to this. All the people who called me out about the loot boxes, well, the guy comes right out and says, Fallout 76 will include cosmetic microtransactions, but what about loot boxes? Or randomized content? Todd says, quote, we take a look at all of it. And then he goes on to talk about horse armor from Oblivion. Players don't mind paying for value. Okay. So basically, he goes on. This is the longest answer he gives, pretty much. And he talks about how they don't want it to be pay to win. Okay, great. But right there, we take a look at all of it. Guys, don't forget, Bethesda and ZeniMax, Elder Scrolls Online has random loot boxes in addition to cosmetic microtransactions. They have it in their other biggest IP. Don't think for a second they won't put in Fallout. And right here, point blank, he was asked, and he didn't rule it out. So everyone who tells me that I'm an idiot about the loot boxes and they didn't say, it said microtransactions. Okay. Well, let me know when he actually rules it out. Okay, because this is the latest info. And once again, it's translated from German, so I'm sorry if I get it wrong. But that's all I got. That's what I there's plenty of other stuff in the article. If you want to read through the fuzz and the marketing speak, go for it. But I want to give you the stuff that I pulled out of it. I read the whole article, so you guys don't have to. And that is what I pulled out of it. That's the info that I thought was most pertinent. Not, will I be able to customize a mount? Okay. So that's all I have for this today. Sorry I keep talking about Fallout 76. I'm hoping to get some stuff out about some other games at some point. But this info just I keep seeing this info. So take it for what you will. I'm Coach Toolshed. Once again, let's talk about it down in the comment section below. And as always, keep it turned to 11.